Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Ojy Okpe is here to discuss her exclusive interview with Haitian Hollywood actor Jimmy Jean-Louis. Welcome, Ojy.
Good morning, Tundun. How are you? Looking beautiful.
Good morning,
Good
Ojy.
morning, Leila.
How are you?
How are you, ladies? Happy
great,
Friday. I am
thanks.
so happy
Yes.
it's Friday. Well, Haitian actor Jimmy Jean-Louis has had more than 2 decades of acting experience. He's a father and an activist who has fought for the rehabilitation of his home country, Haiti. After a disastrous earthquake took so many lives in 2010, Jimmy and his foundation brought back hope to many and has continued to raise funds and awareness to build back his country. Jimmy was born in a home with no running water and has a real rags to riches background. His acting career has seen him perform in some of the most diverse roles. His passion and commitment to the African film industry was one of the highlights of our conversation. Here's a special feature on the multiple award-winning actor, Jimmy Jean-Louis.
He is the ambassador at large to Haiti and best known for his role as the Haitian on the NBC television series Heroes.
Sorry for the subterfuge. We had to be sure that we could trust you. I am Tunde Jonathan. What is your name?
Me? Her?
Yes, her.
You're my African queen. Ooh, Lord. Ooh, Lord.
You are the perfect 20.
You need a green card or something.
Haitian actor Jimmy Jean-Louis has featured in several African movies and is gradually becoming a household name in the African film industry. His role as the Nigerian doctor in the American comedy movie Fat Girls introduced him to Nollywood.
Yes, I'm from Haiti, but I can easily say that I'm African.
Okay.
Haiti is the most African country outside of Africa. You know, when you go to Haiti and people don't tell you that you are on an island, you think that you're in Africa.
Okay.
The people look alike. Me personally, being from Haiti, most of my people came from the western part of Africa. At the time, it was a huge group which united Cameroon, Benin, Nigeria, and we all came from that area. So you know, I'm very much African, I'm very much Nigerian, you know, to be honest with you. So that's why somehow, when I come here, I feel home.
Born in the suburbs of Pétionville, Jimmy moved to Paris at a young age to pursue a modeling career. His early roles were in French television commercials and Spanish musical theater.
I was in Paris back then, you know, when I started to play with the artistic side of me, which was actually dancing before modeling. So I used to work in musical theaters, and then after that, of course, went into modeling, and yes, from there, you know, going to places like Spain, Italy, South Africa, and then New York, London, and doing all the fashion shows, Milan, Paris. That was fun, man. That was extremely fun. But after that, you know, I moved into doing a lot of commercials. Then I moved to London for good, and then from there I was like, you know, what's the next place to explore? And that's when I ended up in Hollywood.
In 2010, a powerful earthquake struck Haiti, and Jimmy Jean-Louis was in the spotlight and became a spokesperson for the crisis.
Jimmy, thanks for joining us. Have you managed to get in touch with your mum and dad now? Because I know earlier you hadn't been able to reach them.
Yes, this morning, finally, I was able to speak to my mom, and she's physically okay. My dad is also physically okay, but mentally, they're very touched.
The earthquake was terrible. You know, the earthquake was very bad. I don't think that people realize the devastation that caused. Over 300,000 people died within less than a minute.
Jimmy has won numerous awards for his humanitarian accomplishments and for his work as an actor. He starred as the French general and leader of the Haitian Revolution, Toussaint Louverture, which won the Best Diaspora Feature at the African Movie Academy Awards in 2012.
Restez là. Vous-même venez là. Vous-même tout. Et vous-même. Parti. Ces hommes sont des traîtres. Fusillez-les. Tout ça, c'est un ordre.
We shot in Martinique, but the costume was very heavy and very, very hot. And we were shooting in a very hot place. So, it was just not convenient with the makeup, with the wigs and everything. So that made it extremely difficult. But yeah, enjoyable.
Jimmy has collaborated with some of the biggest names in Hollywood. In 2015, he was casted as Toussaint in the award-winning biographical comedy drama, Joy.
Hi, I'm Toussaint.
Toussaint? Who's this guy?
Not for me, for you? No, it's not for me, no.
Oh, the plumber.
What's he here for?
What do you think, Terry?
Jimmy produced and starred in the movie Rattlesnake, which won the 2019 Africa Movie Academy Awards for the best film by an African living abroad. Jimmy was in Nigeria to receive the honor, and I sat down with the actor to discuss his involvement with the Nollywood industry, its evolution, and much more. Jimmy Jean-Louis, welcome to the program.
Happy to be here.
Thank you for joining me today.
Yes.
First of all, welcome to Nigeria.
Yes.
You've been coming back and forth here, right?
I know.
Over the years. And also, congratulations on your AMA Awards for Rattlesnake, right? It won Best Film by an African-born director, is that correct?
Yes, indeed.
And I also learned that you're a producer on the film.
Yeah, I produced the entire gig,
You did?
Yeah. It's a second collaboration with the director being Julius Amedume from Ghana. And we had such a good time working together on the first project, which is Precipice. And that movie also won an AMA in 2011.
Are you sleeping with my wife?
And remember who loves you.
Jimmy, I think that you have this whole African essence to you. You've been coming back to Nigeria, and you have this attachment with the African film industry.
Yeah.
What is your connection with that? You're not African, you're from Haiti, correct?
Yes, I'm from Haiti, but I can easily say that I'm African.
Okay.
Haiti is the most African country outside of Africa. When you go to Haiti and people don't tell you that you are on an island, you think that you're in Africa.
Okay.
The people look alike. Me personally, being from Haiti, most of my people came from the western part of Africa. At the time, it was a huge group which united Cameroon, Benin, Nigeria, and we all came from that area. So I'm very much African, I'm very much Nigerian, to be honest with you. So that's why somehow, when I come here, I feel home,
The curse that has been sweeping the nation as a stronghold of this village. Stronghold! And all of you are in grave danger. The devil has arrived and has recruited your children to fight for him. To fight against you. Even Pastor said so. But my people, Jesus cannot help you.
What do you make of the African film industry at this point? I know that, we have been making good quality films over the years.
Yeah.
And recently, one of our Nollywood films, Lionheart, was selected into the Oscars for Best International Film.
Yeah.
What do you make of that growth? And what do you think that is going on at this point with the African film industry?
Well, listen, I've been following it quite closely. I first got here in 2007 when I did the premiere of Fat Girls. Yeah. So that's when I started to mess around with Nollywood. I did a couple of movies, including The CEO, by Kulina Folayon. I did Dr. Bello with Genevieve. I did Esohe. But I also came here before for AMA in 2011. I hosted AMA in 2012. And I did the documentary Jimmy Goes to Nollywood. So just to tell you how much I've been following Nollywood. So I've seen the first wave of Nollywood movies, and I wasn't impressed at all. And then came a second wave, and things started to get better.
Okay.
And as we're moving forward, they're getting better and better. The storylines are better, the acting is better, the technical aspect of the movie making coming from Nollywood is better. So that's why now you're starting to see movies made in Nigeria in other parts of the world. You know, you see some of those movies in England, in America, and other parts, leading to the point that now we have an official selection coming from Nigeria, which is a big deal because now you have a chance to play with the big boys.
Yes.
You know, so now it's up to you to be up to par, you know, but at least you invited to be part of the dance.
But you know, I believe Nollywood has been making good quality films. I mean, I think that we are Nollywood for a reason. Not only because, you know, we make movies in a quantity. I believe that we have done quite a bit of movies like, you know, Half a Yellow Sun. I think that was a Nollywood film, like it was made in Nigeria. I know that it was by a director that lived abroad as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, those things were not considered. Why do you think that it wasn't considered at the time to be selected for the Oscars?
First of all, I don't think that Half of the Yellow Sun was considered a Nollywood movie. It didn't have the stamps of Nollywood movie, you know.
Why? It was written by a Nigerian writer, Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. That was an adapted novel.
Yeah, I mean, you have many aspects that determine if a movie is Nollywood or not.
Okay.
You know, the people making the movie, you know, the producers, the actors,
we had
the cast and crew.
We had Chingatel, we had Genevieve Naji, we had John Boyega in that film.
Yes, but none of those guys are considered Nollywood beside Genevieve.
Okay.
They're Africans, they're Nigerians, yeah. But you know, you have, and also the budget dictates quite a bit. So really,
but it is a foreign film. At the end of the day, Jimmy, it's a foreign film.
Of course, it's a
foreign film. That's all I'm saying. So
it's not considered Nollywood, which is the difference.
So scrap out Nollywood.
Yes.
Okay, it is an African-made film that could have been considered for the Oscar.
I don't know if it was an African film.
Okay.
Because a film becomes African based on the production. What really qualify the movie as a movie of origins is basically from the producers. You know, it's like, where is the production company coming from? You know, if you have people coming from England with equipment, with actors and everything, even though the movie is shot in Africa, it's shot in Nigeria, it doesn't make it Nigerian. It doesn't make it Nollywood either. So that's why, even though it's like Last King of Scotland. It's
it's an African movie that was made about Africans, but this is different because the script is written by a Nigerian author.
Where's the production?
The production was, well, the money came not from Africa, but it was produced in Nigeria.
Where is the production from?
Okay.
The people behind dictating everything. That's really the big difference. You know, that's why I mean I'm insisting because it's very important. The production, the base, the people dictating what to do, where to allocate the money, what cast and crew to take, the people really producing the movie, where they're from. Okay. That's what's going to give the stamp of approval of the origin of the movie.
I know that you're not a member of the Oscars, but I know that you have a wealth of experience in filmmaking, and you know what it takes for it to make a good film. What would you say that we're lacking as Nigerians or like the Nollywood industry to be able to meet up to par, to be selected for,
Best foreign movies.
Best foreign movies, or even just to be considered as, you know, a good film.
I mean, as we said earlier already, you know, we're making progress because now there's a movie that can be considered, right, for best movie. Now that movie is gonna be fighting with I don't know how many different foreign movies.
Okay.
Which is a lot. I think it's 90 plus. I think it's 93 movies this year.
Yes.
So they're gonna reduce it to of first 19 movies, and then only 5 or 10 movies will be selected, will be a real nomination to the Oscars. So you're gonna have to fight against movies coming from India, movies coming from Korea, from all those places. So what's missing is, you know, just the depth of the stories sometimes, the meaning of the storylines, you know, it's difficult to. Of course, the technical aspect of the movie as well. You know, you have so many elements that come in. You know, to sort of tell you what kind of movie might be considered for the Oscars or not. You know,
I think Lionheart is a fantastic movie made by Genevieve Nnaji. The whole team must be applauded because obviously they made a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
But I think that we've also done so many other movies that can or that could have qualified for a selection at the Oscars. But I mean that's my argument, and that's where that's what I'm going to stick with.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, you know how it works. You know, there's a committee.
I know the whole process.
So it always has to come down to one movie. So, you know, when people make a choice, it doesn't mean that the other ones are not good or
absolutely.
are not better.
But the fact that it took that long, and we are a giant, is this is the conversation I've been having with other actors. This is the conversation that I've been having with other producers, and just to find out what we have to do to continue to drive that market out there. Because, I mean, it is a global village, and if we are at 2019, just being selected for the Oscars, it just goes to show a lot that we are lacking, and that's what I want to find out. I know that's what I want, you know, the public to know, so that we could continue to push this idea forward.
Yeah, but I mean, like little things that maybe sometimes we forget about. You know, when we want to compete against all those giants, you know, being part of it, just compare sometimes the budget. When you look at most of the Nigerian movies, what's the highest budget of some of them?
I couldn't tell you it was anything up to $1 million. I don't think there's any movie that's been...
Now, you have a movie that is made for $1 million, which is competing with another one that's made for $100 million.
Yes.
So you can understand why sometimes it might be hard to actually have your space, because you're competing against giants. So with that, with money, you know, there's a lot that can be done.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
And whole bunch of other things. So that's why we can be upset about the fact that not more Nigerian movies have been selected in the past. But, you know, also have to think about that little factor. You know, so far we might not be completely there yet. You know, so we just.
You're from Hollywood. How do we get these big budgets here to, you know, continue to tell our narrative? I mean, if that's really what it takes.
Well, I don't think it's a question of getting big budget from there to here.
Well, we have been making films for over, 3 decades, for a while now.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the driving factor, the budget.
Yeah. But you know what dictates a budget? It's the return.
Yes, absolutely.
How much return do you make? How many movie theaters do you have?
Yes.
What's your line of distribution? So, you know, there's a lot of other aspects that Nigerian movie business or Nollywood has to work as well on, you know. So we definitely need more theaters.
Yes.
Over 200 million people. How many theaters? You can count them. A movie coming out in the States could have up to 4,500 screens.
Correct.
All right?
Yes.
So you can invest money, because you know you're gonna make your money back. But here, if you make a movie that's over $1 million or $2 million, you're not sure to recoup that movie, because how? It's not possible yet.
Right.
So you have to work on the infrastructure first, and then you can start putting money in movies.
I know you're also a humanitarian, and I remember in 2010 when the earthquake happened, you had to go back to Haiti, and you had to, you know, you had your family out there. Walk us through that period of time in your life?
The earthquake was terrible. You know, the earthquake was very bad. I don't think that people realize the devastation that caused. Over 300,000 people died within less than a minute. Yeah.
Wow.
300,000 people died in less than a minute. So when I learned about it, I was in LA, in Hollywood, in my house, and then I pretty much went crazy. You know, obviously I had to do all the media because I had to speak about Haiti, being the Haitian on Heroes. At the time, I was doing that TV show Heroes, which was one of the biggest TV shows in the world. So, you know, the media were consulting me to know about what was going on with the country, with my family. If I had news from my family, my mom and dad were there. I didn't have any news from them. So that was quite worrisome. And 2 days later, I was able to go to the country. And that's when I realized that it was really, really bad.
This is what gravitated you towards your humanitarian work, because I know that you do a bunch of things. You're also an ambassador for Artists for Peace, and you know you have this Heart Fund as well.
Yeah.
Is this the reason why you are a humanitarian, or would you say that you've always been one?
I think that started way before that, you know, because first of all, my foundation I started my foundation in 2008, which is 2 years before the earthquake.
Okay.
Yeah, and when you come from a small country, when all the news are always negative, and you bringing something positive, you can't stop but being the representation of that country. So whether I like it or not, you know, it's almost a normal thing for me to do, to just rep Haiti the best possible way, and yes, and of course becoming a humanitarian.
Take us back to how this all started for you. I know that you were once a fashion model.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Was that your big break into the limelight, into stardom?
Beginning of stardom, maybe at least a little taste of it. Yeah, I was in Paris back then, you know, when I started to play with the artistic side of me, which was actually dancing before modeling. So I used to work in musical theaters, and then after that, of course, went into modeling, and yes, from there, you know, going to places like Spain, Italy, South Africa, and then New York, London, and doing all the fashion shows, Milan, Paris. That was fun, man. That was extremely fun. But after that, you know, I moved into doing a lot of commercials. Then I moved to London for good, and then from there I was like, you know, what's the next place to explore? And that's when I ended up in Hollywood. The very first commercial I did was actually in Paris. I used to dance there every single night, going out and meeting all kind of people in the clubs, like the likes of Madonna and George Michael and Prince. I was a lot younger.
You danced with Madonna and Prince?
I didn't dance with them. They were there. I could see them from a distance, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, but I used to dance a lot, but they were on a special table on the corner over there. But we used to be in the same space, which brings a lot of inspiration. Even though you don't do the same things, but you still end up in the same place. So it was very inspirational. But at the same time, I wasn't doing anything with my life really, besides just going out every night. But one night, a casting director was doing an audition for a Coca-Cola commercial, and she said, would you like to come and do the audition? We're looking for interesting faces, dancers, you know. I'm like, why not? Go for it. I went there, did it, and when I realized how much money I made within one day, that's when my mind sort of switched and said, really? You can make that much money for one day? That's what I'm gonna do. And of course, after a year, I didn't do anything because, you know, when you first start, you know, you have one big break, but it doesn't mean anything because you can have like a very, very dark period. But anyway, I overcame that, and yeah, so that was my very, very, very first commercial.
He's a doctor from Nigeria. Oh my God, girl, look, he's getting out the pool.
Good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon. Hi.
Are you all here on vacation?
Oh, one of the many we take throughout the year. So I hear you're here all the way from Africa for the big medical convention.
Nigeria, to be exact.
Well, isn't that interesting? You see, I've always wanted to travel to exotic places. So tell me, what's it like in Nigeria?
Hot.
You've played a Nigerian in many Hollywood films.
Yeah.
Why do you think that they choose you over, let's say, a David Oyelowo, who I believe auditioned for Fat Girls, correct?
Yes, I think, yeah. The Fat Girl audition process was actually pretty long. Yeah. I believe that some of the Nollywood actors actually flew to LA for the audition.
So it wasn't just the Nigerian actors, even Nollywood actors came in.
Yeah. Even Nigerians living in Nigeria went to LA to audition.
So Jimmy, why did they pick you above all these Nigerians?
You know, I think, you know, when you're doing an audition, you're just looking for what you're looking for. And you don't really try to look at where that person comes from or anything like that. If that person delivers exactly what you want, that's what it's going to be. Often Chiwetel Ejiofor play an American. Often David Oyelowo plays an American.
That's true.
So why them? So, you know, it's and I know I've always had that because, you know, I've played Nigerians so many times that, you know, I sometimes have that little resistance, you know, why you? I'm sorry you. but I enjoy it. I enjoy playing Nigerians, you know. Yes, I played Nigerian in Tears of the Sun, with Fat Girls and many other movies, but maybe I look the part already, and maybe I just tweak the accent a little bit, and it works for them.
Maybe your ancestors are from Nigeria. Well, you know what? We love you in Nigeria. We'll welcome you in Nigeria. And Jimmy Jean-Louis, you have been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me on this program.
Thank you very much. I hope to see you very soon. I hope to come back here very soon.
You're always welcome.
Yes.
In Africa, a woman's body size is a reflection of her social status.
I want to live where they like the fat girls.
You are my African queen, the girl of my dreams.
On a scale from 1 to 10, you are the perfect 20.
Nice one, Ojy. That was great. Very interesting.
I loved my conversation with him. I mean, it seemed like I was upset, but at the end of the day, I figured out that
No, well, you were standing up for the Nigerians.
I needed to do that.
Who flew all the way out there? So why you? You're Haitian. Why were you picked?
No, but I really wasn't upset. But he made a good point. You know, often Chiwetel plays an American. Why him? Why not him? And, you know, Jimmy is such a fantastic actor. I mean, his diversity has taken him into so many places. I mean, the fact that he comes back to Nigeria and he really wants to help the African film industry just makes it all good for him to be here. He's always welcome here. But I guess that we'll come back and we'll talk more about Jimmy on the second segment of the show.
Absolutely. But before we do go on that break, honestly, I'm so happy that you brought him up on the topic of Half of a Yellow Sun.
Okay.
Because really and truly speaking, that argument has been in existence since the film came out. A lot of people are claiming that it's not a Nigerian film, but I'm with you on that it is a Nigerian film, really and truly. And I'm glad that you stood up for Half of a Yellow Sun in the industry on that.
Yeah, he really dissected the reason why he felt it was not a Nigerian movie. I don't think that he had all the facts in his hand at the time there. But, you know, I just didn't want to drag it a lot. But I think he made some points, which, you know, he talked about the production, which is so important. And then we're going to discuss that a lot more in detail when we come back.
Could also be seen as a collaboration. That's true.
Yes, absolutely.
True. So it's time now for a short break on the morning show. When we return, Ojy will still be here talking more on this with us. Do stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching The Morning Show here on Arise News, and Ojy is still in the studio with us, and we're discussing this brilliant interview that you had, and we were speaking about Half of a Yellow Sun, and that topic that you picked up with him about it being a Nigerian film, which obviously he felt differently towards.
Yes. Well, there are a lot of things that he said that I thought was right, but I don't think that he really had the details of Half a Yellow Sun, because it was made by a Nigerian director, Bamidele, I believe Bandele, that's his name. And also we had a whole cast of Nollywood actors in that film. We had Onyeka Onwenu, we also had Ojy Okpe, we had Genevieve Nnaji, and we had Zach Ojy. We had a bunch of Nollywood actors in the film, but also the fact that the movie was an adaptation of Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's novel also really made it encompass that it was a Nollywood movie. I mean, when the movie came out, I believe in 2013, everybody was talking about it. But I believe at the time when it came out, there was a ban in Nigeria. I don't think it was allowed to air in Nigeria at that time as well, because it had some kind of content that didn't portray Nigeria, in a good light. So at that time, it was banned here as well. But one of the issues I also had with Half a Yellow Sun, it was a big budget movie. He also talked about the budget. I think it was about $8 million at the time that they invested in that movie. And the return was not good at all. So I don't know what they did wrong to push that movie forward. I also know that it was submitted for some festivals, and I don't think that he won any awards at that point. But I don't know if you remember the book, Half a Yellow Sun. Yeah. It did much better than the movie. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
I've never read the book.
You've never read the book, but you know what? You know how it. You know the story about the Biafra, and that was really what the story was. It was a love story that was happening during the Biafra War, and I think Chiwetel really did a good job doing that film. But also, we had a Hollywood actress. That was another controversy because we have Genevieve Nnaji in the movie who could have played Chiwetel's wife. And then they got Tandy Newton to be, his wife. So I think that they could have really, the whole cast or the whole production team could have done it in a better way to actually portray. I think that one movie could have been the movie that would have made a huge difference with the Nollywood film industry. It could have been submitted for the Oscars. It could have, the Oscars selection committee was in place at the time. So I don't know what was happening, why they didn't, submit that film for a selection.
Maybe they did.
I mean, who knows, right? Because it didn't, I didn't see it anywhere. But also the fact that it was submitted for a festival, an African festival, and it didn't win, that for me,
but it was also kind of taken out of Nigeria in the sense that Nigerians saw it after everyone else saw it. This movie wasn't allowed to air in Nigeria. It wasn't allowed to reach its full potential in its biggest market, which would have been here at home. So it's no surprise to me that the movie didn't do so well. But I think they also did a good job casting Nigerian actors from Hollywood into the movie just to show us that it is a Nigerian film even more. Chiwetel Ejiofor, for example, John Boyega is another one. And I think they really tried as much as they could to integrate Nigeria and Nollywood with Hollywood production, seeing as they did bring in Hollywood production, but it was still a Nigerian film.
No, as it should be anyways in making movies.
Nobody ever wants to give Nigeria credit when it's clearly deserved, but when it's blamed, they're generous with that.
Exactly.
It is a Nigerian movie. I mean, was it you or him who mentioned Last King of Scotland?
Yes,
I think it was him.
He
That's
said
completely different.
Very different.
The only thing with Last King of Scotland, it was a book written by an Englishman, I believe it was. The subject matter of the book was Idi Amin.
And
that was only
yeah,
African thing. Because when they had the movie, it was, what's his name? Xavier, James McAvoy, who was in, and Kerry Washington, Forrest Whitaker.
It was Forrest Whitaker, I remember.
He played Idi Amin.
I think that he was nominated for an Oscar or won it.
Yeah.
He did, okay.
He was excellent as Idi Amin. So you can't compare it. That was not a Ugandan movie.
Yes, it wasn't.
But I believe that Half of a Yellow Sun was a Nigerian
I think it is classified as a classic Nollywood movie. I mean, it should be. It was a Nigerian director who directed the film, and I think that also we got some money from Nigeria in the movie, if I believe.
To finance
the movie as well.
It does.
But then we're talking about financing. He also raised a point about budget. Remember, we talked about how we can get all these big budget here to make good films, good quality movies, if that's really what it takes to be selected for an Oscar or whatever it is to make it all global. And he mentioned the fact that we don't have screenings. I mean, if we don't have anywhere to watch the movies, if these big budgets come in here, how would they get their money back? Yeah. But I also have an issue with that, because at the end of the day, why do we only have to screen our movies here? If we have the budgets from abroad, we can screen our movies everywhere. We can get distribution deals. You know, our stories are so authentic that I think that everybody would want to invest here. Like, you know, Netflix is here already buying content from us. So I think that it's not just the fact that, not that I'm discouraging building more screens, but I think that even if we got our budget from overseas here, we could make movies and we can, you know, screen them abroad. They could
Why
get their...
not?
Why not? Why do we have to just think in that tiny box of just thinking, oh, we can only just distribute our movies in Nigeria and that's where it should stop? Bollywood has done a fantastic job, especially the Chinese as well. They've been, you know, screening their movies everywhere across the globe. They get distribution deals across the globe, and I don't see why Nollywood should be different. You know, we had that controversy with Lionheart. We talked about Lionheart, and you know, obviously recently the whole fact that it was disqualified because it wasn't a foreign language. It wasn't a foreign language.
I think it's so unfair.
It was quite, and that's one thing we should discuss as well. The fact that, you know, whether or not it should have qualified, because, you know, it's the Oscars. It's their Oscars. That's not the conversation. We shouldn't be worried about whether or not we want to, you know, be in the Oscars. But I think that that movie itself, you know, has really done a great thing for Nigeria, having been one of the first movies that was bought by Netflix as an original.
The first.
Yes, and that's one thing that we could learn from the production company, you know, that did Lionheart. I don't know. The reviews were great. We got like a lot of reviews. You know, maybe a few people didn't like the storyline, but I thought with the technical aspect of the movie, you know, I thought that the production company did a fantastic job.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more on that. And really and truly, it's one thing to have a foreign language category, but if we have a best international film category and you dismiss English-speaking films from that category, what you are doing is suggesting that the international community that you claim cannot and will not be English-speaking, whereas a country like Nigeria has English as one of our most forefront languages.
No,
I mean, English is our official language, and that's not our choice. That's our official language, and it's not our choice. So what, are we now saying that any Nollywood movie that is English-based cannot go forward to the Oscars and receive the Best International Film Award? And if that's the case, then the Oscars once again, in fact, that is the case, and the Oscars once again have really messed up, and they really need to look back in and review their own ethics as an organization, because that is absolutely wrong in all ways.
It's completely unfair. It doesn't even make any sense to me.
Yeah.
You can be a foreign film in English. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
Rationalize it. I can't.
I agree with you. And I think that this has made a huge statement with the Academy at this point, because, you know, remember Eva DuVernay, which is one of our biggest African, you know, directors from Hollywood, African-American directors from Hollywood, made a statement when, you know, they disqualified that movie. And, you know, she tweeted to the Academy. And, you know, I believe that they also reached out to Genevieve Nnaji with concern. They were concerned about the whole disqualification. But, you know, I think that it has made a huge statement in the way that they coin that category, or the way that they will make that category favor Nollywood movies, because most of our movies are going to be in English, whether we like it or not, because it is our official language, you know. So, I mean, not that we don't have other languages, it will be very difficult to be able to spread that, all those different languages. I mean, I don't know if you want to sit down and watch a Hausa movie, Leila, I'm not sure. I mean, I would want to, but I would want to, but the first thing that you want to do is just make it easy for yourself to sit and watch a language that you can understand. Is that I'm not into subtitles. I don't know if you love.
Oh, I don't mind subtitles.
I don't like subtitles. I'm all concentrating on watching everything, and then some little tiny words come up, and I'm like, what did they say? Rewind, go fast forward. What did they say? So I'm not interested, and I believe a lot of, you know, people that watch movies are not a fan of subtitles.
Yeah.
That's my take on that.
And half the time, when a Nigerian is speaking in a movie and it's being showcased or broadcasted on Western TV media or whatever the case may be, they already put the subtitles out of the fact that they believe that you can't understand the accent.
Correct.
So really and truly, then go and class us as a foreign language.
Yes.
That's the honest truth. You already put subtitles when in Nigerian is speaking. So what difference does it make if we're speaking English or your so-called foreign languages?
Which
just
is
really
true.
makes
There
no
was a
sense to
movie,
me.
Tootsie, that actually won an Oscar. And they did speak 5 different languages in that movie. But half of it was also English, and it was subtitled when they were speaking their kind of, you know, English, because obviously you couldn't understand their accent. I remember when first time I went to South Africa, it was so strange for me because I just couldn't understand what they were saying.
Really?
I couldn't. I mean, it was difficult for me to understand their accent because it was very deep. It was very thick. So it was just like, I'd be like, what are you saying?
Sorry, what?
What does it mean? Are you saying can't or can't? Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, and that, like you said, that's a very valid point because it will be subtitled as well. So, I mean, we
I
are
don't have an
encouraging.
issue with subtitles.
Yeah, I mean,
Me too, I don't.
We are encouraging.
Didn't you
more
watch
filmmaking.
Roberto Benigni's movie, Life is Beautiful?
I did. I
One of my
loved it,
favorites.
but it took me a long
The
time to
subtitles.
watch.
Really?
Yeah, because
That's
I would
like
cry.
literally one of
I
my
would
favorite
me
movies
too.
ever.
I remember when he won the Oscars, he
I
climbed
mean,
the
it was
table.
amazing.
It was
I
so
love
nice.
that movie.
But that movie took a long. I just couldn't watch it.
Really?
It was hard for me to watch.
So you don't watch Gerard Depardieu's movies?
No, I
wow.
don't watch movies with subtitles. I wouldn't bother myself doing that. I mean, I remember we grew up with Bollywood movies, if you remember that.
Yeah.
But that, for me, I just loved the music that I enjoyed. I loved the culture.
Okay. You weren't following the plot.
Yes, I wasn't following the plot.
Ojy, thank you. Honestly, that was a great interview. It was great to
a lot
see.
of interesting points were raised there.
Absolutely. I like the fact that you contested him on a lot of issues that people will normally let
No,
slide.
Ojy was flying the Nigerian flag there.
Our biggest patriot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you ladies have a fantastic weekend.
You too. See you on Monday.